Hello everyone and welcome to the Proudfoot podcast. Today I'm going to be giving tips for new DMs on how to engage players. So let's get started. If you're watching this, you're probably new to DMing or you're an aspiring DM looking to get a campaign together. There's a lot of work that goes into DMing, and believe me, it can seem daunting at first, but one of the things to keep in mind is whatever you plan should keep your players interested and wanting to come back to the table. Because when you're playing D&D, there's one thing that matters, and that's everyone having fun at the table, including yourself, but also including your players. So there's a few things that you need to be aware of to make sure your players are engaged and happy to come back week after week to play more sessions. Because if people aren't having fun, they're not going to want to spend 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 hours a week playing D&D. So this is very crucial stuff. I'm going to go through 3 aspects of what it takes to make sure your players are engaged. And some of it might hurt to hear because it's going to mean that you have to throw out your precious pre-planned campaign ideas. Sometimes. We'll come back to those and talk about how you can integrate things you planned with what your players want to do. So let's get started. First and foremost is listening to your players. Now, when I say listening to your players, they're not going to tell you in words what they want, because they might not even know how to describe what they want in words. Instead, it's the actions they take that's going to tell you what they want to do. So let's think of a scenario here. Say your first campaign starts in a very cliche way. You're all in a bar. There's a shady character at the edge of the bar counter, and you describe this person in immense detail, and it's very obvious to any outsider looking that, oh, that character has the quest for them to do. That's going to be the plot or the initial start of the campaign. Great, you've done everything right as a first-time DM. You've set the scene, you've set up the NPC that's going to give them the quest, and then your players leave the bar. Then they decide they would like to go venture off into the woods, and you have no idea what's going to be out there. But your players have done something crucial that you need to pay attention to. They have, through their actions, told you they're interested in the woods. So now, as a DM, you need to abandon this idea of this quest. Don't completely abandon it. Hold it in your mind, hold the notes for it, but follow them. This is the first aspect of listening to your players, is paying attention to their actions, because their actions are telling you what they want to do. Now you're in the woods. Now you're in the unknown, which is a very scary place for new DMs because you're not sure what to do. You didn't plan anything. You have to make this up on the fly. So stop for a second. Your players will give you time because they might RP a little bit, and you can take pause. You don't have to react immediately as a DM. There's a lot going on behind the screen after all. But think for a second, take 5 minutes about what they're going to find in the woods. It could be something simple. It doesn't have to be the most unique and original thing. You can even go as far to say, what sort of things are you looking for out in the woods? And they might tell you, and that's great because then you can just throw that at them. And you can do that through any means that you decide. With experience, it becomes easier, but say they want to look for an abandoned temple, for instance, and they want to go dungeon crawling. Maybe there's an NPC that wanders out of the woods and is all panic-stricken because they were escaping some dangerous temple. And then that NPC can lead them to the temple. Then you have a lot more work to do on, making up a dungeon from scratch. And I'll be making a video on that very shortly, so stay tuned if that's something you're interested in. But this is the second thing that's important here. So not only have you listened to your players through their actions by following what they want to do, but now you've yes and their actions. Meaning you said, yes, you can explore the woods, and there is this temple there that you can now explore. So that's the second thing. Once you have your players going off on their own direction, you need to make sure it has legs. There's some plot they can follow out there, because after all, in this world, there should be more than just the single quest line you've set out for them. Now, don't abandon that quest line. We'll come back to that at the very end. But this is where it can get really interesting, because you have followed through with what your characters want, and now you can make it matter. Maybe this hypothetical temple relates back to the quest. Maybe there was going to be something where that quest giver was going to say, oh, I want you to go out to this other town and deliver a message. And maybe you had already planned out what that message was going to be about, and it was going to lead into this larger plot line. But tweak it. Maybe the message is something around this temple and how this temple should never be tampered with, as it releases untold horror onto the world if a certain scroll or artifact is taken from it. could be interesting. And this is the third point that I want to bring up, which is bringing consequences to your players' actions. Now, in this specific example that I've just contrived out of thin air right here, it's negative. It doesn't always have to be negative. It can be positive depending on the situation. Consequences just mean what follows next. So it's not necessarily going to be a bad thing, but what you have done is you have listened to your players through their actions. You've made it matter. You've made it more important than it would have otherwise been if you just thrown it off and ignored what they wanted to do. And third, you've given it consequence to your overall campaign, because maybe now it's going to relate back to the quest they didn't take earlier on, and it can be tied back in later. So these are very important things for first-time DMs to keep in mind, because players are interested in what they want to do, not what you think they want to do and what you have planned. So sometimes you do have to abandon your own ideas in favor of following what the party wants. Now, there's a caveat to this. It shouldn't be something that makes you upset. It shouldn't be something that is going to just frustrate you and make you not want to DM. This is another thing that happens. Sometimes DMs just will cater to their players and never think about what they want. So it's important that your players have fun, but it's also important that you're having fun. So making sure that you can balance those aspects is vital. The final point here is, when your players do something like this, it's not going to all happen in one session. It's never going to unfold in one session. It's always going to be over a series of sessions arcing into a full campaign. So you should be taking notes on what your players have done each session. You can either use pen and paper, or you can record the sessions, or you can, those are pretty much your options. You can take digital notes, you can do voice to text, all sorts of things, but making sure that you have noted what has happened is really important to tie continuity from session to session. That's everything I want to talk about today. If you would like more specific examples on this having happened in my campaigns, I'm happy to share stories of that in future videos, so comment down below if that's something you would like to hear. Also, like the video if you're enjoying the channel, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff, and as always, may the gods have mercy on your soul.